Good day and thank you for joining us on Beetv News Update at 12. I am Lee Bratesman Johanna. Now the news in details. Alphabet Incorporated has signaled a sharp increase in capital expenditure this year, warning the spending could double as the Google parent company accelerates investments in artificial intelligence and expands its computing infrastructure. The report.
The company said the aggressive spending ramp-up is aimed at easing constraints on computing capacity while positioning Alphabet to remain competitive in the intensifying global AI race. The planned investments will largely focus on data centers, servers, and specialized chips needed to train and deploy advanced AI models across its products and services. Executives noted that demand for AI power continues to grow rapidly, both from consumers using products such as Google Search and Workspace, and from enterprise customers relying on Google's Cloud's AI and data services. This surge in demand has put pressure on existing infrastructure, prompting the company to fast-track long-term capital projects. Alphabet's move mirrors a broader trend among major technology firms, many of which are committing billions of dollars to AI-related infrastructure. However, Alphabet acknowledged that the higher spending could weigh on near-term margins, even as it supports long-term growth and innovation. Despite the potential impact on profitability, the company maintained that sustained investment is necessary to secure leadership in AI, improve product performance, and unlock new revenue streams over time. Alphabet added that it will continue to balance financial discipline with the need to scale rapidly in response to competitive and technological pressures. The announcement underscores how central AI has become to Alphabet's strategy, marking one of its most ambitious capital spending plans in recent years as the company bets heavily on the future of artificial intelligence. Naomi Ewere reporting from Beetv News.
The Trump administration is prepared to allow China's ByteDance to purchase NVIDIA's advanced H200 artificial intelligence chips, but the proposed deal remains unresolved as NVIDIA has not agreed to conditions attached to their use, according to a person familiar with the matter. The report.
The conditions set by the U.S. officials are aimed at ensuring the chips are used in ways that align with American national security and export control policies. While the administration is open to the sale in principle, it wants strict limits on how the high-performance processors will be deployed once they reach ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok. NVIDIA, a leading designer of AI chips, has so far resisted the proposed term, citing concerns over operational feasibility and commercial impact. The company has not publicly commented on the specifics of the negotiations, but the lack of agreement has effectively stalled the transaction. The talks comes amid heightened scrutiny of advanced semiconductor exports to China, particularly chips capable of powering large-scale AI systems. U.S. policymakers have increasingly sought to balance commercial interests of American technology firms with broader strategic concerns over China's access to cutting-edge computing power. For ByteDance, access to NVIDIA's H200 chips will significantly strengthen its AI capabilities, supporting applications ranging from content recommendation system to generative AI development. However, without clarity on usage restrictions, the deal remains uncertain. The situation highlights ongoing tensions in U.S.-China technology relations, where even commercially driven transactions are closely examined through a geopolitical lens until NVIDIA and U.S. officials reach common ground on the proposed conditions. The potential chip sale to ByteDance is expected to remain on hold. Evelyn Izivle reporting for Beetv News.
The United States and Iran have agreed to hold diplomatic talks on Friday, February 6, 2026 in Muscat, Oman, amid rising tensions over Iran's nuclear program, ballistic missiles, and recent military clashes in the Middle East. Despite agreeing to the meet, the two sides remain deeply divided over the agenda. The report.
Iran insists the discussion focus exclusively on its nuclear program and the possibility of sanction relief, while refusing to discuss its missile program or broader regional activities. The United States is pushing for wider negotiations, which could include Iran's ballistic missile development and its support for militias across the region. The U.S. delegation will be led by Special Presidential Envoy Steve Witkoff, along with senior diplomatic advisors, while Iran's team will include Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi and other senior officials. The talk are being held in Oman after Iran requested a venue change from Istanbul, signaling its preference for a narrow focus on nuclear issues. Key points of disagreements include Iran's insistence that its nuclear activities are peaceful and that sanction relief should be linked only to nuclear compliance, while the U.S. demands that Iran curb its ballistic missile program and address its military presence and support for armed groups in the region. The negotiations comes against a backdrop of rising tensions, including incidents in which U.S. forces shot down an Iranian drone near an American aircraft carrier in the Arabian Sea and other confrontations in the Straits of Hormuz. Both countries have increased their military presence in strategic locations, heightening the urgency for diplomacy. Analysts say expectation for a breakthrough remains low due to the fundamental disagreements over the agenda and core national interest. While both sides have signaled a willingness to engage diplomatically, the gap on missile restrictions and sanction relief make a comprehensive deal uncertain. Friday's talk will be closely monitored internationally, as any progress or escalation could have significant implications for regional security and global energy markets. Evelyn is deeply reporting for Beetv News.
U.S. stock markets finished lower on Wednesday, with major indexes weighed down by steep losses in technology and artificial intelligence-linked companies as investors grew increasingly cautious about low-fee valuations and whether Wall Street's AI-driven rally has peaked. The report.
The S&P 500 slid about 0.5%, ending at roughly 6,882.72 points, while the Nasdaq Composite fell about 1.5% to around 22,904.58, reflecting broad weakness in growth-oriented tech names. In contrast, the Dow Jones Industrial Average managed to rise about 0.5 as investors rotated into more cyclical sectors. Technology stock led sell-off, with Advanced Micro Device tumbling roughly 17% after lowering its quarterly revenue forecast and signaling challenges in competing with large rivals in the AI chip market. Nvidia's share dropped around 3.4%, and the PHLX Semiconductor Index fell more than 4% on sector pressure. Software and data companies also struggled. Palantir Technologies slid nearly 12%, recent gains despite posting solid quarterly sales, while other software names such as Snowflake and Datadog declined as risk sentiment decreased. Investors cited concerns that high expectations for AI-driven growth have pushed valuations to unstable levels, prompting profit-taking and risk-off positioning. The size of the infrastructure build-out is unpredicted. The market is suddenly skeptical and concerned about it, said a portfolio manager at Agent Capital. Alphabet fell about 2% ahead of its quarterly earnings report, although it regained in after-hours trading on strong AI investment guidance. Market breadth was weak, with a wider sell-off beyond mega-cap tech name. Investors shifted some capital toward sector tied to broader economic activity, while defense incomes saw relative support. Analysts say this pullback highlights the market uncertainty over how soon AI investments will translate into durable profits and whether leadership by a narrow group of tech stock can continue without fresh catalysts. Favour Kolawole reporting for Beetv News.
The Trump administration has announced the withdrawal of approximately 700 federal immigration enforcement officers from Minnesota, but officers also confirmed that around 2,000 agents will remain in the state as part of ongoing immigration enforcement operations, White House brother Caesar Tom Homan said in a press briefing. The report.
We'll draw down 700 people effective today.
Homan said the partial drawdown is being carried out effectively and is the result of what federal officials described as improved cooperation between federal authorities in certain states and local partners, particularly in coordinating detentions at country jails rather than in public settings. The officers being withdrawn include a mix of personnel from Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) and Customs and Border Protection, who were part of an expanded enforcement initiative in Minnesota known as Operation Metro Search, one of the largest intro-immigration enforcement deployments in U.S. history. Before the drawdown, the number of federal immigration agents in Minnesota had surged to roughly 3,000, far above the roughly 150 officers normally based in the state. Even after removing 700, the number of agents on the ground is still well above typical staffing levels. Homan emphasized that the move does not signal an end to the administration's broader immigration enforcement strategy and that President Trump remains committed to pursuing deportation of undocumented immigrants deemed threats to public safety. Democratic state leaders reacted critically to the partial withdrawal. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz described the reduction as a step in the right direction but said it falls short of what is needed and called for a faster and more comprehensive reduction of federal agents. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey echoed this view, saying that retaining about 2,000 officers is not true de-escalation and urged the federal government to end the operation entirely. The enforcement surge in Minnesota has been in the focus of national debate, drawing protests and legal challenges after incidents in recent weeks that included the fatal shooting of 2 U.S. citizens by federal agents. Favor Kolawole reporting for Beetv News.
Greenland, the vast Arctic island once publicly convicted by U.S. political figures like Donald Trump, experienced its warmest January on record 2026, with preliminary data showing average temperatures around plus 0.2 degrees Celsius, well above the long-term January average of minus 7.7 degrees Celsius between 1991 and 2020, the report.
Scientists say this record warms underscore how rapidly the Arctic is changing. Greenland's temperature are rising at a rate about 4 times faster than the global average, a stark example of the phenomenon known as Arctic amplification. According to the Danish Meteorological Institute, the unusually high temperatures have already had visible effects on the island's environment. Sea ice is forming later in the season, extending less far south along the coast and becoming thinner even where it still exists. These have disrupted traditional winter transportation methods that rely on solid ice. The warming trend also threatens Greenland's economy. Fishing is central to the island's livelihood, with shrimp, halibut, and cod being major exports accounting for roughly 23% of Greenland's gross domestic product and about 15% of jobs. Warmer ocean waters and shifts in ecosystem could alter fish migration patterns and catch volumes, with potentially significant impacts on the industry. At the same time, the changing climates may open new opportunities. Reduced ice cover and warmer conditions could make mineral extraction more viable, particularly for strategic minerals needed in advanced technology and clean energy sectors. Greenland is known to contain many such as critical raw materials, although mining there involves complex permitting, environmental concern, and strong views from indigenous communities. Tourism, another important sector, is also being affected. Operators report that a lack of snow and unstable ice conditions are making classic winter experiences like snowmobiling and skiing more difficult, creating uncertainty for businesses that depend on predictable cold conditions. Overall, the unprecedented January warmth in Greenland highlights how climate change is reshaping life in the Arctic, bringing both challenges and potential economic shifts as the region continues to warm far faster than the rest of the world. Evelyn Isabella reporting for Beetv News.
Now to the business segment. Nigerian's FX outlook has strengthened as Brent crude trades around $69 per barrel, above the government's 2026 budget benchmark. Higher oil prices improve expectations, boost dollar inflows, and ease pressure on external reserves, supporting recent FX market reforms. The report.
The rally is driven mainly by geopolitical tension in the Middle East, especially risk around Iran and the Strait of Hormuz, alongside temporary supply disruptions in Kazakhstan and the US. These factors have added a risk premium to prices, with analysts warning of sharper spikes if tension escalates. For Nigeria, higher oil prices support government finances and FX stability, given oil's dominant role in export earnings. However, analysts stress that sustained stability depends on policy discipline and ongoing central bank reforms, with the oil rally serving as a helpful tailwind rather than a cruel oil. Nigeria's long-troubled state-owned refineries, with a combined capacity of 447,000 barrels per day, may be set for a reset as the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPC) opens talks with a Chinese petrochemical firm and other potential investors. The move is part of a broader effort to revive the loss-making asset after years of operational failure. While the government-owned refineries continue to struggle, Petroleum Refinery have provided critical support, helping NNPC stabilize domestic fuel supply and easing pressure on the national energy system. This has given NNPC some room to pursue long-term reforms to its refining portfolio. NNPC Group CEO Bayo Ojulari said the reset would involve selling equity stakes in the refineries to technically competent operators capable of running them sustainably rather than maintaining full government control. Speaking at the Nigeria International Energy Summit 2026, in Abuja, he stressed that NNPC is not planning an outright sale, but is willing to give up significant equity to end decades of losses and secure variable operations. The United States have launched an initiative to build a cooperative trade framework for critical minerals, aiming to reduce global dependence on China. The effort was unveiled at a State Department-hosted ministerial attended by partners including the European Union, UK, Japan, India, South Korea, Australia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, focusing on mineral vitals for chips, electric vehicles, and defense technologies. China dominates the mining and processing of many critical minerals, given its major influence over global supply chains. In response, the US and its allies are developing coordinated trade policy, investment, and other measures to support alternative sources and prevent market conditions that discourage new production. The initiative is part of a broader strategy to strengthen supply chain security and limit China's leverage in trade negotiations. Industry figures have welcomed the move, while analysts say Beijing's tighter export control on rare earths have heightened urgency among Western economies to diversify supply. Favor Kolawole reporting for Beetv.
And to entertainment news, former presidential aide Reno Omokri has stressed Nigerians who blame the government and hospitals for medical tragedies, including the recent demise of singer Naya, arguing that healthcare is no charity and must be funded. The report.
Reacting to recent deaths that sparked public outrage, Omokri said many private hospitals hesitate to treat patients without insurance or financial guarantees because unpaid bills often lead to reputational and legal trouble. He urged Nigerians to enroll in health insurance schemes and save for emergencies. Omokri also questioned demands for world-class healthcare without corresponding tax contributions, noting that Nigeria is not oil-rich when its revenue is divided among its large population. In another development, Nollywood singer and actress Angela Okori has tendered a deep public apology to her colleague Mercy Johnson following their recent controversy. It could be recalled that on Wednesday, January 28, that Angela was arrested by the Nigerian Police Force Cybercrime Center in Abuja as a residence over cybercrime allegations involving Mercy Johnson. She was later released from the Suleja Correctional Center in Niger State. After promising to address the situation, the actress kept her word by releasing a video on her Instagram page where she profusely apologized to Mercy Johnson. In the video, Angela admitted that she is not a perfect being, which was why she chose to apologize. Big Brother Naija Season 4 winner Mercy Eke has added another major achievement to her name as she officially bags a master's degree from a UK university. Photos and video clips making rounds online show the reality star graduating from the University of Sunderland in the United Kingdom, where she completed a master's degree in business administration. Friends and family members took to their social media page to share the good news, congratulating Mercy on the milestone and celebrating her academic success. It could be recalled that in March last year, the Pepperdam winner returned to school to pursue her MBA in the United Kingdom. And that's it on the entertainment news. Evelyn is simply reporting for BTV News.
And lastly, on sports news, Galatasaray remain interested in Nigeria's midfielder Rafael Onyedika despite the Turkish club complex transfer dealings during the January window. The 24-year-old has been mentioned in discussions surrounding Galatasaray's midfield planning as the club navigates multiple targets and expectations. Galatasaray insider Hugo Karakoku raised concerns about the club's transfer approach, using Onyedika's situation as a reference point while analyzing recent developments. Onyedika has been positioned within Galatasaray's broader midfield considerations rather than as an isolated target. Onyedika has featured in 15 Jupiler Pro League matches this season, scoring once and remained a key figure in Brugge's midfield. This current contract runs until June 2027, strengthening the Belgian's club negotiating position despite the player's openness to a new challenge. And that's it in our Global News Update. Thank you for joining us. I am Lee Braitsman Johanna.